I think I'm 1 minute early, but here I am for another live question and answer. I'm going to go ahead and turn on my Instagram live, and hopefully some people hop on to ask questions. Okay. All right. Happy February 13th. I'm going to be releasing my book tomorrow, so that's really exciting. A long time coming. My Aunt Judy was actually the one to inspire me to write a book. I wanted to do it, but she really pushed it, and in a positive way, and I'm really excited. Good morning. Please join me on YouTube, and I will try to answer questions on both Instagram and YouTube. I have two phones here. So I've been doing this every Monday at 10:15 to answer any questions that you might have, or if you have comments that you just want to share with everyone who's going to watch and everyone watching right now, I would love to just talk about it. Happy February. It's kind of crazy. My spring retreat is around the corner. February, March, April, May. It's going to be May 11 through 16, and I'm so excited. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, so someone said my hair looks so good, and I posted on my story earlier I was wearing my hair plop. That's the only thing I do. I don't use any hair products. It's literally just water. I brush through it and put it up in my hair plop, which is a cotton t-shirt. Yes, I do take questions. That's what I'm here for. So if you have any questions, please ask. And if you guys could join me over on Instagram, then that is what I'm mostly looking at. But someone sent a question. Yeah. So just type your questions in the chat and it'll come up, and then I'll answer it. So yeah, I'll just keep talking about my retreat, which is around the corner. It's going to be with Dr. Lisa Wiedemann. I released the interview with her today, and Lisa she's such a bright person. I love watching her stories because they're just always encouraging, and she just has such a bright smile. And she obviously loves to be outdoors and walk, and she does resistance training, and she's just that person who is a great example of having discipline to have healthy habits and how much that can benefit and impact someone. So someone asked, how tall am I? I'm 5'6". Are your triglyceride markers more important than LDL? I think that especially when you're eating a low carb or zero carb diet, the triglycerides are what we want to look at. I would look at your triglyceride to HDL ratio. And you can Google that. There are a couple people who talk about why it matters, but that is the best representation of what cholesterol is doing in your body. And so I could care less about, high cholesterol. My cholesterol's in the 300s, high 300s, and I feel better than ever. So I actually think higher cholesterol is better than lower cholesterol, especially when you're eating this way. But triglycerides, I do think they are something to look at more so than LDL. Your LDL will probably be elevated, especially if you're losing weight, if you're burning your own body fat. That fat has to be released into your body to burn it, to oxidize it. So it's going to be released into your bloodstream, then you oxidize it, use it for fuel. But in that process, it will raise your LDL, usually. And remember that your stored fat holds toxins. And I think are you familiar with chronic inflammatory syndrome? I've taken a preliminary test that says it's 95% probate that I have it. I've been carnivore for 18 days, but still feel pretty bad. I've had a few wins, but still feeling, yeah. So I answered a question about CIRS, which is chronic inflammatory response syndrome. It is 100% reversible. And if you've been doing carnivore for 18 days, keep going. Please keep it up for 90 days, at least 90 days. And no matter what, it's going to be reducing inflammation in your body, and that's going to be huge. And then, of course, when you lower carbs, we induce more autophagy, typically, unless you're exercising like crazy. But that is literally turnover of dead proteins in your body. It's cellular clear up. That's going to give you a lot of relief. I would definitely aim for a higher fat than protein way of eating within this carnivore diet, but you definitely should give it more time than 18 days. Sometimes it feels worse before we get better. And that's a very common thing. Are you friends with Michaela Peterson? I would call us friends. Yeah. I mean, she's had me on her Instagram. She's had me on her YouTube. I just did another interview for her, her YouTube, and we've had a couple conversations, after our Instagram lives, over email. But I will say she's super busy. She does a ton of awesome stuff for this community, but I would definitely call her a friend. And we've had some conversations outside of business, which were always really enjoyable. Michaela is awesome, in my opinion. Okay, so the person who sent a question to the questions, it says that there are no questions yet. So if you could just type it in the chat, then I can answer it here. All right. Does long-time keto or carnivore make thyroid gland underactive? And do some people really require a little carbs for good functioning of the thyroid gland? Require? No. No one requires carbs. I have helped so many women restore their cycles and their thyroids, including myself. I had hypothyroidism twice. Once was with the autoimmune component, Hashimoto's, and I didn't have a cycle for 16 years. And I restored both of those with 0 carbs. So no, they're not necessary. Can they help? Yes. They can raise serotonin, they can reduce cortisol, but you have to be really, I would say you have to be really intentional with how you're using them, because in my opinion, carbs are such a slippery slope, and they can very, very likely send your blood sugars on a roller coaster, which causes more inflammation, and you're just going to go backwards. Not to mention, the cravings and things like that, mood disorders. So they're not necessary, but they can be helpful. They do have a place. And then as far as your thyroid down-regulating, so when we eat 0 carbs, when we stop burning sugar, there are certain things that we use more efficiently because sugar is no longer present in our dietary intake. So one of those things is vitamin C. Vitamin C competes for the same pathway as sugar in the body. And so when we stop eating sugar, vitamin C gets that whole pathway and we need less. It's more efficient. Kind of the same thing with T3. So your thyroid becomes more efficient without sugar coming in, and so we need less of the hormone to function optimally. So if your thyroid looks low on paper in your labs, it might not be that it's actually low. In some cases it is, and that would likely just be from under eating, and this way of eating is very satiating. So it's really important to be sure that you're eating enough and eating enough fat. I wanted to ask if you include weightlifting into your daily fitness routine. Why or why not? I know a lot of people call for a rest day when it comes to lifting. Lifting is my favorite. It used to be really hard for me to take a rest day. I posted a reel this morning about movement. Movement is medicine. And when I was 69 pounds, I wasn't doing weightlifting. I was doing body weight exercises. And as I got stronger and continued to heal, I incorporated weightlifting because I knew that weightlifting provided more insulin sensitivity, and it also literally tells my nutrients where to go. It tells your body to put nutrients into that muscle because you're creating little microscopic tears to your muscle, atrophy, whatever you want to call it, and it's calling those nutrients so that you can build muscle and get stronger. So resistance training is so good for so many different reasons. Number one reason for me is therapy. I do CrossFit with my husband, and then there are days that I just go to the regular gym. Today I went to Planet Fitness. I hit PRs. I just go a little bit heavier each time, and it feels so good. My goal in life is to be strong and healthy, and weight resistance training is a big part of that. I was wondering if it's daily or spread out during the week. Daily, I lift weights. The only day that I might not lift weights is Sunday, which is my rest day. Is keto and intermittent fasting help for ulcerative colitis? I would say carnivore is probably best because I was keto for 15 years and I was having ulcerative colitis to the point where I couldn't eat without involuntarily throwing up. And that stopped when I went carnivore and removed anti-nutrients, primarily oxalate. Oxalate is very rich in baby spinach, sweet potatoes, cinnamon, black pepper, turmeric, so-called superfoods. So just watch out for the anti-nutrients. Intermittent fasting is helpful for, I think, anything because it just reduces stress on your body. But I don't think it's enough to reverse something like ulcerative colitis. You're really going to want to take a good look at your nutrition. If you have an active issue with ulcerative colitis, there's something there that needs to be removed. There's an interference that needs to be removed. Good morning from San Bernardino, California. Bernardino. Good morning. Do you do a split program? So I tried that, and what I really like to do is I just like to do full body. So on days like today, I went really heavy lower body, and then I'm going to eat a meal and then go back to the gym and do some upper body. Just because right now I'm in a growing phase, I want to build muscle. I don't go twice a day every day, but I don't really like doing a split. It gets boring for me. If it were up to me, I would do lower body every single day. But I do split it up. I make sure I do my push, my pull, and someone actually informed me of that as I was going to Planet Fitness, through these couple of years where I gained 65 healthy pounds. Someone was like, you got to be sure to be hitting your chest and back, Rebekah, because if you just do the lower body, if you just do your arms and stuff, you're not going to be strong. And they were right. So I really like to focus on whole body. I love working on my back. I love working on my shoulders, and I'll do core every now and then, but it's not like a strict split. I can do that, but I don't really have to work it out because CrossFit is structured in a way that the WOD is, they do really good at doing, okay, upper body, emphasis on lower body, emphasis on core, then we'll do a body weight, then we'll do a day that's more like cardio, and so it's just already spread out evenly. The name's Kelly, but hi Kelly, and I love your page. Thank you. I know you put a lot of work into your entire body, but can you show us your glutes with a quick turnaround? Not being creepy. No, I won't do that. Sorry. Even if you're not being creepy, there are creepers on the internet, and there's no reason for me to show you my glutes. As someone with a pancake and who's working on it, so literally just do glute bridges, do compound movements like reverse deadlifts, squats, and glute bridges. And eat your food. I'm doing keto since last year, but my sleep routine is not healthy. I'm sedentary and a bit stressed because of career and family problems. I am detected pre-diabetic and despite doing keto. So stress can spike your blood sugar all day long. If your cortisol is out of whack, that could be a big problem. So I would definitely do what you need to do, prioritize coping with stress and sleeping at night. There's a company called Santa Cruz Medicinals. They are the only CBD company that I would recommend. I've tried a lot of expensive CBD, especially when I was disabled and I had really bad chronic pain. None of them worked. And Santa Cruz works. And they have something called deep sleep capsules. And it doesn't have melatonin. It's CBD, valerian, and L-theanine. That's it. And it works. I would highly recommend checking those out. My discount code is tailored. And if you're having insomnia, sleep is priority. It's right up there with nutrition. Even if your nutrition is perfect, but you're not sleeping, you're going to be going backwards. So if you're able to get a supplement to help you during this healing phase, I would recommend that one. But number one, you have to address the reasons that you're not sleeping. Is it your sleep hygiene? Is it toxic relationships or a bad environment? Like, you need support. You need to be in a good environment to heal. And no problem. I totally understand. I had a pancake butt. So this girl who asked me to show my butt, she said she has a pancake butt and her boyfriend gives her a really hard time. You're lucky you have a boyfriend, because I was, man, my butt cheeks didn't even touch. Like, that was my goal, just to have my butt cheeks touch. I was that flat. Just give it time and eat properly and sleep. Sleep builds muscle. You have to allow yourself to recover from the workout. When we go to the gym, we're not building muscle, we're tearing it down. When we sleep and eat, we're repairing it and growing it. So, okay, I'm going to go to YouTube and start answering questions there. Is it uncommon for a type 2 diabetic to still have spiking blood sugar as high as 352, 17 days in on carnivore? I can't control it even with glipizide. I wake up fasting blood sugar as high as 250. So if you're a type 2 diabetic, it's going to take time for that number to come down. Anyone with diabetes or anyone with high blood sugar, it took at least 6 months of going in the wrong direction for that number to show up. And it's going to take at least 6 months of going in the right direction for that number to come down. Same with getting your cycle back. It takes at least half a year of doing the right thing before you actually get a bloodshed, period. So sometimes you just have to trust the process. Give it longer than 17 days. And I want to go back to this person who is pre-diabetic despite doing keto. Again, I just want to say to you, maybe, I don't know what keto is to you, but I would definitely be counting your total carbs. If you're eating a bunch of almond flour and blueberries and who knows what else, I don't know what keto means to you, but that's a really broad term now these days. You could just not be getting enough protein. You could be getting only plant fats instead of animal fats, which you need. So I would definitely consider doing a more carnivorous approach. And I'm not saying that keto is bad. It's great for a lot of people. But if you're not tracking your carbs, it's easy to eat too many. And that could also be why you are having a blood sugar spike. So yeah, it sounds like stress is your main problem though. Stress is huge. Okay. What's CPT sleep capsules? It's CBD. CBD is, it doesn't get you high, it just relaxes you. It takes off the edge. What about the sleep is for the weak mentality? I would argue I can't stand that. Sleep is for the weak, or like, I'll sleep when I'm dead. Try living your life when you don't sleep. You will feel dead. You'll be miserable. The only reason I'm here doing this, the only reason I could write a book and grow and heal is because I prioritize sleep like crazy. I have an eye mask. I have mouth tape. I have earplugs. I have a white noise machine. My boyfriend thinks I look like a mummy. You have to prioritize sleep. All right, going back to YouTube. 2 chemical pregnancies. I want to try carnivore for fertility, but I live in remote Alaska and struggle to get fatty enough meat. Can butter and pemmican be enough fat with mostly beef and fish? Yes, I would say yes. And I know that I have a couple clients in Alaska, so I know you have Costco. I would recommend getting their lamb. Costco is a good, place to get meat, but butter and tallow are totally fine. Pemmican is amazing, so that's fantastic. I always say that God provides for what we need. If, I work with some people who can't even get beef, and it's like, you know what? God is going to provide. There was a time that I couldn't afford Billy Doe meats. I couldn't afford anything. And I was eating pig ears and fish skins for free from my seafood merchant. And guess what? That worked. So God is always going to provide. But yes, pemmican is fantastic and butter is fantastic. Is salt bad for you? No, it's amazing for you, and it's necessary. Your brain runs on electromagnetic frequencies, electrolytes, and every cell of your body needs minerals and electrolytes. I take 10 grams of sodium per day. That's where I feel optimal, and everyone's different, but salt is not bad for you. Salt does not cause high blood pressure. Insulin resistance causes high blood pressure. 44 years, partial hysterectomy, you know what I mean, 10 years ago. No supplemental hormones and have odd odor with a huge mood swing every 3 to 4 months. ketovore, carnivore since June 2002, and it still happens. Thoughts? I think that you're detoxing, and this happened with me and my husband, and it happens with my clients. There'll just be phases where, like, for me, only my left armpit smells, which is really weird. But there were definitely phases where I would smell and then it would go away. So I think you're detoxing. So I would say just continue to support your body with the best foods. And there may be something that you're eating that makes you smell. So whenever that happens, you said it happens every 3 to 4 months. I would, think about what did you eat? Did you eat something differently? But there's nothing wrong with that. Can you say the CBD you recommend again? It's by Santa Cruz Medicinals. They have an Instagram. If you want to message me on Instagram or comment on the YouTube video, I will send you a link with my discount code, but it's Santa Cruz Medicinals. And they're a really good follow. The guy who runs it, Brendan, he posts really good stories and really good content on his Instagram. I really enjoy it. Hey, Cecilia. Great to see you. I am not eating any keto-friendly processed foods. My carbs are around 50 grams maximum from dairy. As you said, stress and sleep could be the culprit for my prediabetes. So 50 grams of carbs coming from dairy is a lot. I would definitely go down to like 25 total, especially because you mentioned that you're sedentary, and there's that's a lot of carbohydrate to be floating around in your bloodstream. I definitely recommend even just slowly titrating down, maybe to 30, 25 would be optimal. I think that would be really helpful. All right. Any other questions? You're very welcome. Sometimes it's hard to hear that we're eating too many carbs or we need to switch something up. I know that for me, I resisted carnivore. I resisted changing anything for far too long. You guys saw how desperate I was. I was 69 pounds on my deathbed until I was able to surrender what I thought was best. So we always have to be willing to try something new. Waiting for more questions. How can I lower my red blood cell count? So I would say definitely focus on supporting your immune system. Your red and white blood cells basically are, to my knowledge, linked to your immune system. So if you have any, if you're getting chronic strep throat or anything like that, autoimmune flare-ups, I don't know much about you. It's kind of hard to answer that question, but I would focus on supporting your immune system with proper nutrition. Do Harmony Pendant work to block EMFs? I have no idea what that is, so I don't know. Best tips to help reduce hair loss or shedding. The best tip I would say is focus on your thyroid. Make sure that you're eating enough food in general, enough protein and enough animal fat. And apart from that, you could also be sure that you're getting enough selenium and zinc. And another thing you could do is rub rosemary into your scalp. So rosemary can definitely stimulate your scalp. You could just get fresh rosemary and get the oil on your hands and rub it, but that's not going to reverse hair loss. It can just help to encourage the growth of new hair. You're going to want to be sure that you're prioritizing your nutrition and getting enough protein and fat. Usually, women who I've worked with to restore their hair have not been eating enough protein. A good source of selenium on the carnivore diet, you could eat heart or gizzards. Those are 2 sources of selenium. And then zinc, I would definitely recommend getting some seafood like oysters. How long do oxalates dump into your system after you stop consuming them? up to 10 years, according to Sally Norton, which is a long time. So, yeah. Can you go into a bit more on rendered fat on the gut? Does it have to be cold, or is there anything to make it easier on the gut? So rendered fat, I like to compare it to a Brita filter. Eating rendered fat is like pouring water into a Brita filter without a filter. It goes straight through you. So essentially, the liver cannot produce enough bile to break it down. The liver is what produces bile for the gallbladder to break down fat. And when you are drinking fat, which is what rendered fat is, it's liquid fat, it's just going straight through you. So if you're having issues like diarrhea, heart palpitations, or nausea, I would definitely recommend eating fat from its raw source. So if you're, having trouble with tallow or butter, which melts really quickly, I would try suet. Suet is the fat that's found around the kidneys, and that's, a form of tallow when it's rendered. It's very rich in stearic acid, and it's kind of waxy, so it's definitely not going to liquefy as you're eating it. So I would definitely recommend trying a hard, cold fat source. And my number one preferred source of fat is just eating the fat that's attached to the meat that I'm eating. Like Billy Doe Meats has lamb chops with a fat cap this thick. I kid you not. And that's a great way to get your fat in. If you are doing approximately 25 grams of carbs, are you automatically in ketosis? Nothing says you're automatically in ketosis. I mean, you could be zero carb and super stressed out and not sleeping, and you're running on glucose. So under 25 grams of carbs is a general recommendation for a ketogenic diet. And then, you have moderate protein and high fat. But guess what? I can eat 350 grams of protein and 50 grams of fat, and I could eat 50 to 100 grams of carbs and still be in ketosis. I kid you not. But then at one time when I was sick and metabolically inflexible, my hormones were jacked up, I wasn't sleeping, I was in fight or flight mode, I could eat all the fat, only 30 grams of protein, and my blood sugar would spike up to 140. I'm not lying. That's 100% true, no exaggerations. And the difference is that my body is supported. So the answer is no. No macro recommendation will automatically guarantee ketosis or not. I was keto 2018 to 2019. Pretty much stopped in 2020. Been carnivore since July 2022. My carbs are usually less than 10 grams, never 20 grams. I still struggle with higher blood sugar and weight loss. Any suggestions? Like I said earlier, give it time. But since you've been carnivore since July 2022, that is about, that's 6 months. So I would definitely recommend, it sounds like you're already tracking your macros. Make sure you're getting more fat than protein. And if you are already, are you overeating protein? Are you stressed out? Are you sleeping? Are you taking medication that could be spiking your blood sugar? I mean, even like allergy medications, Claritin, Flonase, can spike your blood sugar. So there are a lot of variables that can contribute to blood sugar spikes. Number one that people, I think, don't realize is not sleeping. One poor night of sleep can set us up to be as insulin resistant as a type 2 diabetic. And it goes across the board, even for me. So I would definitely make sure your fat to protein ratio is appropriate, and then check in on the other things I mentioned: stress, sleep, medications. Also, be sure that you're hydrated. If you are dehydrated, you're not getting enough electrolytes, your blood sugar will spike, most likely. So salt is necessary for insulin sensitivity, and a lot of people go zero carb or low carb and they still are not getting enough sodium or electrolytes. You're going to feel poorly, you're going to have brain fog, more cravings probably, and your blood sugar will be going up and down. Good morning and happy Monday to you as well. It's a great day. The sun is out for like the second day in a row. I live in Illinois, so that's a big deal. Thoughts on sunscreen? Do you wear sunscreen when spending time outside? I don't wear it when I spend time outside, but if I'm at the beach, like for my spring retreat, And if I plan on laying out in the sun, number one, I'll just try to be mindful and I'll bring a cover up so I don't get burnt. But Tyler and I are both guilty of, I mean, who doesn't love just that feeling of frying in the sun? So we did get burnt on our honeymoon in Cabos, Mexico. Um, and then we bought sunscreen. So I don't like using it, but if I have to, then I will, especially for my face. And I'll just get baby sunscreen. You really want something with just primarily zinc oxide, and yeah, because I don't want to age my face, especially. But I just try to focus on wearing a ball cap and bringing a cover up. Would Benadryl spike sugar? I don't think so. No. I think I have all the questions so far. Keto and LDL cholesterol, your take, please. Please watch the beginning of this video because that's what I talked about. Someone said, Angela said, Badger brand sunscreen is clean. Good to know. I think I've used that one before. All right. It's 10:45, so I might start wrapping up soon. Anyone else have questions? My connection is poor on Instagram, it says, so I am going to take questions on YouTube because I can't even see the questions on Instagram. When you interviewed Maria Emmerich, she said she is now carnivore. Did she mention why she made the change? So we did talk about that, and she said that she just noticed that she was feeling better with less of the keto stuff. But the main reason that she went carnivore was because of Craig, her husband. Craig was dealing with sickness, illness, and Lyme disease is what he was dealing with. And she said, even just a little bit of vegetation on a dish would make him flare up for the next couple of days. And so that's when they went carnivore together. Craig was her inspiration, as he has been for a lot of things. So her story is so inspiring. I love it. And I don't think she is a strict carnivore, but I think that she is very mindful, just like I am, about the anti-nutrients. And when you have a loved one who is dealing with things firsthand, it's kind of hard to not be aware of it. So that's the deal there. All right, I'll wait a couple more minutes to see if anyone else has any more questions. Okay. Well, my video ended on Instagram, so bummer for them. All right, well, I guess that's it. Thank you guys so much for joining. Thank you for your questions. And so remember, my book will be released tomorrow. And the spring retreat is around the corner. If you're interested in that, feel free to email me at Rebekah@taylorketo.health. Thank you, Cecilia. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.